Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another Living the Legend mini interview series. I am your hostess, Milagros Suriano Rivera. I am a 2019 Color of Woman graduate, MUSEA team member, as well as guild member. And today we are bringing you a wonderful interview with our very own Color of Woman, Evelyne Verret. And before we introduce Evelyne and give her are to land in this moment as we and I've got some incense burning, and just give me 2 seconds. It seems like my battery's running low. Okay, where are we? There we go. Okay. Technology at its best. Prepare for everything except for the battery dying, right?
Yeah, my connection seems flimsy.
That's okay. As long as our red thread connection stays strong and unbreakable, nothing else matters. So, as we were, I'm inviting you to land where you are, sink back into your seat or chair or standing, feet firm on the ground. The earth is supporting us as we embark on this wonderful interview. I am hailing from San Antonio, Texas, land of the Tankawa and the Humanos. And with that said, I want to invite Evelyne to please introduce yourself and tell us where you're from and a bit about you.
Hi, I'm Evelyne. I am originally from Quebec City, so I'm French Canadian. Right now, I am in upstate New York, and so upstate that it's almost Canada. Like I can see Canada across the water. I am on the land of the Haudenosaunee and the Mohawks, and I lived a few years in Phoenix and in Michigan, Phoenix, Arizona, and Traverse City, Michigan. And I actually learned I painted for the first time I was 37 years old. I didn't know that I could paint before that. So I was quite late in my in connecting with this part of my creativity.
Well, we definitely welcome that. And I understand that before you came into intentional creativity, you already had a coaching business of sorts, I believe.
Yeah, I did a coaching training in law of attraction.
Oh, wow. I read that book.
Yeah.
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah, and that was I think in 2010 and 11. And I discovered intentional creativity in 2011.
Okay.
And when I discovered intentional creativity, it was like a piece of the puzzle that completed the puzzle for me.
Okay. And how did you exactly come to, like, how were you introduced or told about it?
Yeah,
And how did you meet Shiloh?
I met Anasuya at a communication course with Landmark Education, and we had to choose a coach. And she was this bright light on the stage, and I'm like, okay, I need to work with her. And so she was my coach for a few months, and she introduced me to the divine feminine, which was a new concept for me. And then, so that was in 2010. And a few months after I moved to Michigan, from Phoenix to Michigan in 2011, she sent me an email from Shiloh, and she said, okay, you need to look at what this lady does. It's like, it's what we've been talking about all this time. And to me, it connected with the art that I was just new at it. and the law of attraction and the divine feminine and all that. It was just like just beautiful thread, like it was threading all of the pieces of my life together and it made sense.
The
So
universe providing you with what you needed when you needed it, huh?
yeah. And in 2011, that's when I moved to Michigan. So I left part of my life behind in Phoenix, Arizona. And then it was such a beautiful way to, before I left, I had the intention of recreating myself. And then intentional creativity came into the picture, and it was like perfect. Wow, like it was an answer to a question, like how can I recreate my life? It was a kind of a guide for me to do that. And and after, like, I was hooked. I took so many classes, although it took me a while to to complete a painting. I started many.
Okay, yeah, I know you were telling me about that, and I would love for us to share that with our viewers. So I see that your talisman painting is beside you.
Yes.
But before you tell me about her, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about your legend so that they'll understand the connection between the two.
Right, because my legend actually is the first painting that I completed in 2014. And she kept telling me, show up, just show up. Doesn't matter if you think you're bad. Doesn't matter if you think my face is horrible. Just show up. It doesn't matter if you don't know what you're doing. Just show up. And I kept showing up. Obviously, I completed her, and it's been interesting because her teachings, like she's still teaching me to this day, but I guess it's my perception of her and her symbols that is changing, that is evolving, and then I can understand a new level of her teachings.
Understood, yes.
And so the connection between the two, which I just discovered recently, that she has the symbols of the paradoxes. That's what she teaches me. She taught me over time how we are so much more than what we are, that we can see. And we are both and all the things, like there are parts of ourselves that we push aside, but they want to be expressed. They might seem contradictory, or like just here the dove, and she's carrying the bloody axe, and so many other symbols that kind of represent that dichotomy. And so that was the beginning of my awareness of seeing life as a paradox, seeing myself as a paradox. And then my talisman, she went through all kinds of titles. And she was a queen of duality at first, really teaching me about the black and white and all that. But it didn't quite feel right. But that's what I could perceive at the time. And so she went into, I don't know, 2-3 different names, and now she's called Paradoxia.
And I love that name.
Yeah. Me too.
And I love how you're sharing that. We learn in intentional creativity that even once a painting is finished, as we think it is, they're not done with us, even when we're done with them. And sometimes you don't understand, as you're learning to, how do we call, oracleize the symbols that come up in our paintings, the information. And sometimes we don't see it because it's not time for it to be revealed. But I love the connection, because I believe you shared that it took you 4 years to finally complete a painting. So your legend is the first one that you completed and actually did a face with, where it became a true being and essence of you, and that awakening to that paradox. But it was your talisman painting that actually informed you and gave you language
Yeah.
so that you know how to interpret the message of your legend.
Isn't that crazy?
It's like awesome.
I just love this. And this is just two paintings out of, so many. So there's a lot of connection between all the ladies.
Yeah, they're all interconnected because they're all part of us, just a different aspect of ourselves. And I know that you had talked about that earlier before, about parts, when we think about the word parts, and
Mhm.
learning to
Yeah.
acknowledge each piece, you know, that makes the whole, and how you came to intentional creativity because you had been doing all of this work. However, there was a part of you that was not being fulfilled and needed to be, to weave it all together. And I see was it for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love
It was.
that.
Yeah.
Mm. This is so awesome. And I loved, how we shared your story, and how much of it resonates. So I just wanted to say that um, I'm just so glad to be here and be part of you sharing your story with your legend and your taliswoman. Um, and you mentioned language, and when you talk about language, just before we came on, you actually did add that English is not your first language.
No. I think you can tell. I'm French Canadian, and I moved to the US in 2006. And although, we had English classes growing up, we had to learn the language. Like, I was so bad. I was so bad. I could not understand anything. And I just knew inside of myself that I would learn the language by going there. I would just learn through immersion. And that's what happened. And yeah, I mean, I want to connect that to the fact that when it was time to commit to Color of Woman, one of my hesitation was like, I don't speak that well English. Like, how can I teach in English? And my at that point, I had chosen to listen to my heart and my intuition, even though it didn't make sense. And after spending so much time listening to her saying, just show up, just trust and show up, I did. Like, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna keep hearing in my head what other people are saying about listening to me, and um, you know, um, and that helped me show up and sign up. Although I didn't do it the first round, I did it when they opened the door again.
Hey, but you showed up, and
I showed
timing is,
up.
yeah, where everything is in its divine timing, and I'm so glad that you said yes.
Yeah. Well, all the synchronicities were happening, and I just could not ignore it. Yes, there was the inner voice that said just go, but the outside world matched that, like by sending me all kinds of signs.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what Shiloh teaches, and intentional creativity here in our community is one of my favorite teachings of hers, how we become whole when our outside world is in alignment with our inside world. And that's the thing. It took me 5 years to finally say yes. Like, I'd been,
Mhm.
in the community and everything. I had never taken a class with Shiloh until 3 years ago when I took Legend for the first time. And within 3 months, I was in California meeting Shiloh for the first time, and
Wow.
Jonathan, and our beloved Karen McLeod, Shiloh's mother, and the rest of the community. And it just had, it took that one yes, to change my life, so I it resonates with me. And, on that note, as you and I, know and just attested to, um, most of us who surrender to a full body yes of color of woman path, or embracing intentional creativity, know that generally we're always told hold on tight, because it's
Yeah.
gonna turn our lives upside down. There's gonna be a whole lot of moving and shaking that's gonna follow. We have to not be impulsive, but just be open to what's showing up for us. What was the biggest challenge for you that you needed to face once you said yes to this quest?
Mhm. Well, for me, it was justifying financially. Uh, at the time, I was not working. I could not legally work in the United States. So I was a stay at home mom, which I was very happy with. But in my mind, my own inner blocks were like, but you can't spend all this money just for yourself, for something that's not even sure. And um, and I had to, like, I committed to my husband that I would make the money during that year of training.
Mm-hmm.
and and the way everything worked, I started teaching, in fact, like the same month as I started my training, and I decided to go ahead and charge. And the first workshop that I led was a day long, like the Queen of Your Own Heart type
Mm-hmm.
thing. And it was a day long. I had 6 people signed up, and I was charging $125 for that day. So that took so many, like, I had to overcome so many things inside of myself to get to that point. But I was committed to
Mm.
and after that, I kept teaching workshops, and I kept charging uh, throughout the year. And I did pay for the training, and I kept teaching. I associated with a store where I was teaching regularly, one or twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then after, I got to have my own studio in an old elementary school that was
Mm-hmm.
closed. So I had a big classroom to myself. And we had magical moments.
Mm.
My classroom was giving on there was a nice field, and trees in the back, and a beautiful river. I could go on telling you
Everything.
stories of magic that happened.
Just listening to you and seeing you how lit up is like it was the perfect vision. I know you
Oh,
came in,
it was,
yeah. You
yeah.
came in talking about the law of attraction, and I know that teaches about visioning and seeing what you want, and it seems it's a little different from intentional creativity, but like you said, this was the piece.
Yeah.
But you learn using the practice how you can actually envision, and you already saw it. You got what you needed. Your classroom.
Yeah.
It must have been such a wonderful place to be in a space full of your love and energy and
Oh,
intentions. You
it
know.
was beautiful. And then I had a whole wall. At some point, I decided to put all of my paintings on one wall. And when you would come into the room, like, people would stop in the doorway, like, just like, whoa, taking it in. The energy was just so wonderful.
I had an experience like that today, right after our little meeting this morning. I didn't realize that today I was scheduled to have, my pesticide treatment for my home. And the young man that knocked on my door wasn't my usual guy. I guess he's on vacation. And the
Okay.
exchange that we had, and I do attribute that to our exchange, how we were talking about things, and the synchronicities of life and connections. And he happened to be a Native American who he just found out he was Native American. They mistake him for, Mexican here, and he's expressed issues he's had, culturally and with prejudices and things like that, and racism. But our connection, like you said, how they walked in, it's like he's sitting there spraying every room, and he's like, "Oh my God, I love your paintings." I even extended a red thread with him because he was aware, he was conscious. And I'm just open to anyone who's willing to listen and is awake. And he talked about energy, he talked about spirit, he talked about the land, and how we're just one people, and why does there have to be so many differences. And it was just like it, and I acknowledge it and only bring it into this because it was a continuation of our conversation,
Mhm.
and just to show how it works, how that connection, and it just happens, and it was like meeting with you this morning was a great gift, but that was just a reiteration, like, you showed up for Evelyne, this is what the universe is bringing your way.
Yes. Yeah.
So I just love it, how intentional creativity works when we just say yes. And I know that in the beginning of our connection this morning, you weren't in the best place, you felt a little, in a a little, in a little dip, I won't even say a funk,
Mhm.
but just showing up, you're listening to your legend, and and
Yeah.
it just showing up shifts your energy so many ways, so I honor you, and I'm glad, because coming into this section, the energy was totally different.
Oh, yes. Yes. And it was so good for me to remember those messages, because I still need to show up today, because it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to show up. It's hard to trust that inner voice. Um, but telling you the story, I remember how it feels, and I want that back. I want that more, and again and again and again. So I'm very grateful for sisterhood,
Oh,
and where we remember and
yes.
remind each other of who we are.
Yes, yes, definitely. When I share with you, I realize that you're a reflection of me, and we're a reflection of others. And
Yeah.
sometimes we get stuck in that place of, rut, and we forget that we can be a light for so many other people. And no matter what, as long as we show up out of love, what needs to be received will be received. What needs to be gifted will be gifted. And
Mhm.
and that's basically it. Like, we're gifts to each other. So I'm so happy about that. You did mention that you had some changes. You were, in Arizona was, and you moved and ended up in New York. And with that, a new challenge was shown up. You
Yeah.
challenged the yes, and having to validate to your husband that this is something you wanted to do, and you came up with the money and you did it. And now you've got yourself set up, you've got your school, and now you've got to let all of that go. And now you're in a different place, and had to overcome that, and that springboarded you into the virtual world, right?
Yeah, the online world. We learned that we accepted a job offer in 2018, but we would move into 2020. So at some point I had to give up my studio. That was heartbreaking.
Mm.
And then I was like, what do I do? Like, what's the point of, I kept offering workshops, but not as much, because it was more complicated, not as many. And that's when I said, okay, well, I'm gonna just show up more online and develop this part of my business online.
Mm.
And so I did. I offer online courses. And over there in Michigan, and I moved to upstate New York, and over there in Michigan, they're like, when are you coming back? We want we want in-person classes again. So maybe I'll do retreats there. That would
Okay.
be amazing.
Well,
Yes.
while we're on the subject of your online, I want to give you the opportunity and invite you to give your website out
Oh,
to our viewers, so that we can have that typed into the comments.
yeah. It's coachevelyn.com, and Evelyn with an E at the end, because it's French.
CoachEvelyn.com. Right?
.com. Yeah.
That's easy to remember. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I hope
Yeah.
that our viewers take advantage of that and check you out. I'm definitely going to
Yeah.
go there as soon as we finish this broadcast.
Thank you. Yes, I have a free offerings, and yes, and some paid ones. Um, and what did I want to say? Oh, well, now I'm so close to to Quebec, well, to Canada, I was excited to move here at some point because I was like, oh, I'm going to go share intentional creativity in Quebec. I'm just there. I'm so close. But with the pandemic and all that, like I couldn't cross the borders.
Mm.
And that was another big blow. Like, so I don't know how much longer we're going to be here and how it's going to work, but I was excited to bring this work in my motherland, in my mother tongue as well.
Yep. That was one of the questions. I was listening and I'm like, okay, we talked about language and you spoke about, English isn't your first. Do you intend on bringing intentional creativity in your, mother tongue at
Yeah.
some point?
Yeah, I want to. And see, that's interesting because I learned everything in English. So now I don't feel that I can teach in French. Is that funny?
Yeah, and I have that too because a lot of people think that Spanish is my first language and it actually isn't. Is my second language because I'm born here and I was born in New York. My parents are from Puerto Rico. We spoke Spanish and English, but I think in English. Spanish to me is a second language, but a lot of people make that. And I stopped speaking and writing it when I was a little girl at about the age of 10.
Okay.
So I can do conversational Spanish, but my vocabulary and all of that is like, non-existent. I can read enough to get what it is, but technical Spanish and things like that, it's not my first language. So I'm hoping that in time I'll be able to explore that as well and branch out in that way because I live in a very high concentrated Spanish speaking community, and maybe that'll help, bridge over to them and see it as more attractive to them. But yeah, it's just a beautiful thing in any language. Intentional creativity is a powerful tool.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. How has being a colored woman teacher been an impact on how you show up in your life, and or how you view the world? Like, has it changed the lens you see the world in?
Oh, it does because it got me, well, first of all, way more intentional. And it just in my everyday life, in everything that I do, I'm more aware of bringing my intention in what I'm doing and what I'm creating. And also it helped me so much getting to know myself and accepting and being compassionate toward myself and other people, therefore other people too. Because when we're in front of the canvas hitting those roadblocks and feeling uncomfortable, a lot of things are coming up and they're just indication of what shows up in other areas that we don't see. So I've been seeing a lot of things about myself that I didn't know, that I couldn't see. Sometimes it is uncomfortable, but what I love about intentional creativity is that there's a way to process it on the canvas, on the watercolor paper, so we don't have to be stuck with it. So it reveals stuff and it helps you process it.
And it's great when you have an option. A lot of people don't know and they get stuck where they're stuck, and we've been so blessed to have found intentional creativity where we actually have such powerful tools to help us get past those places and compost the old stories and help to create the beauty that we are in everything we do. And it doesn't only impact us, as you said, you started sharing about, you how has it impacted your beloveds? Like you shared a story about a particular woman that you had.
Well, first, just the fact that the people in Michigan, they want more is a great indication of how much it touched them. And one of them she has a walk-in closet in her bedroom, but she emptied it of all of her clothes and she put her paintings that we did together, and it's her meditation nook. Like she's surrounded with her paintings and parts of herself, and and I hear these stories, and I just love this. I just love the impact that that it had on them. Some of the women, they changed careers because they got so much clarity. They some of them put better boundaries in their lives. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just so beautiful.
And
I
you
love
and yeah.
everything that sparkles.
It's like sparkles, right? You feel like a fairy godmother.
Yes,
And
I
it's
do.
beautiful. I so witness your power and your gift and love for others, and how you've been able to,
Yeah.
manifest your dreams through helping and just showing up, showing up, showing up. And I love it because that's my mantra too. That's like, just show up as you are, and you're, out of love and in authenticity, and everything else just follows and does what it needs to do. Now, your beloveds haven't been the only ones that have been affected and had a shift. I understand that.
Yeah. Oops. Yes. Well, my husband too. When we take care of our heart, there are so many ripples. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I've noticed. And my husband, who was very reticent to me signing up for Color of Woman, told me last fall. He said, he said, I realize what you're doing and what you're offering, and I'm here to support you.
Oh,
I
that's
am removing any expectations of you going back to a normal job, and I'm just. He didn't say holding the space, but that's what it meant.
yes, he's supporting you, and I'm so honoring that and him. I had a similar challenge myself, so I'm still, not even fighting that battle, but I've gotten to the place where, what, this is what I'm doing for me, and all I'm asking for is your support, because I know that you're going to benefit from all of the goodness that's going to come into my life from me saying yes.
Yeah.
So it, like you said, that ripple, and I love it. And I hope that soon he'll be in a place where your husband is there, but he's at least he's open.
Yeah.
So with it.
And I think what he realizes that is that even though I don't work a normal job, the money keeps coming in very interesting ways and unexpected ways. So I do contribute. I mean, I have my business, I contribute this way, but I also contribute in so many different ways.
Mm,
And he starts seeing that too.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
So, yeah.
Um, what would you say to anyone who may be considering embarking on the soul quest such as this Color of Woman teacher training, or any other I see MUSEA offering that that calls to them?
Oh, well, if you feel that nudge inside of your heart, just go, just show up, just say yes, and trust that. If you feel that nudge, it's guided. I know that it comes with blessings, and it comes with awarenesses, and it comes with sisterhood, also.
Yep,
So
we'll be here to hold you where you are.
yeah,
That's beautiful.
yeah,
Evelyne, I want to thank you so much for showing up and answering your legendary call, your legends call, and trusting your taliswoman to hold space for you. I want to thank our viewers for joining us and commenting and supporting us during this wonderful share of Evelyne's. It has been a true gift to witness you and your story and your journey, and I'm looking forward to all that's to come, in English and French. If I gotta learn French, we'll go there. Right? It's gonna be beautiful, no matter what language it's in. I know
yeah.
that because I know you, my sister.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure and an honor.
The gift is ours. Thank you. So, for those who've been following us, you know that the Color of Woman teacher training starts this Friday, October 1st. If you are feeling the tug, as Evelyne so gracefully mentioned, and really wish that you enrolled, because our enrollment is closed. But if you still feel that tug and really want to join us to start on Friday, now is the time that we invite you to contact Sarah Mardell at sarah@musea.org, but you need to do it now. And we will work with you to make it happen. Okay. So if you reach out to Sarah, we will work with you. If Color of Woman is not, not for you at this time and, not doing it for you, the next step and opportunity to engage with our community would be Vivid. Vivid is our largest yearly gathering. It's hosted by Shiloh, Sophia, and Jonathan as well. It's running from November 5th through the 10th. You can join in person, um, or if you can't make it in person, we will also be able to participate online. It's going to be so great. It's going to just be so much fun this year. Where our theme is tapestry in honor of Shiloh's mother, our one of our other art matriarchs, Karen McLeod. In honor of her, Shiloh and Jonathan are going to be walking us through a process of painting and stitching of ribbons and other fabrics and textile into our painting. There'll be guest speakers and to include our very own Amber Gould. This is just going to be so much fun. We're just going to make it fun and just be with each other and creating out of love, which is what intentional creativity is all about. So if you'd like to join us for Vivid, you can definitely learn more and RSVP at musea.org/vivid. Okay, so to find out more about Vivid, the details, and anything else you need, you can definitely go there. And we look forward to having you join us and hope that you decide to join. So, um, yeah, it's just going to be a great time. I can't wait. I cannot wait. It's going to be just awesome. As Color of Woman is going to be an awesome event and journey quest for the next 9 months. And wow, there's just going to be so much going on. So just stay tuned. And again, just to reiterate, if you really, really, really want to join us for Color of Woman, reach out to sarah@musea.org. And for Vivid, you can reach out, get more information at, we have a lot of websites, musea.org/vivid. I just want to make sure I get it right. Musea.org/vivid. Thank you again for joining us. We look forward to seeing you here in Red Thread Cafe, also in the MUSEA app. And thank you so much for joining us. May love be at the center of all your choices. Blessings all. Bye.